Hi, I'm Charlie Wallace from the Anderson Township Historical Society, and with me today at Clough Crossings is Gary Sammons, the owner and proprietor of Clough Crossings. Gary, how long have you been in business?
We just passed 20 years June 3rd this last year. Heading towards 21 this coming June 3rd.
And before the camera came on, we were talking about the history that this building was built in 1874. It was, of course, School District Number 7, and it was in operation for about 5 decades as a tavern until 1929, when the large building was built where the old Kroger was on Beachmont Avenue. In 1921, all these schools were closed and consolidated into that one building. And after that, I think you know the history after that.
Well, as much as I know, I believe it closed in about 1950, and a business called Mount Washington Tavern moved in after that. It was operated by a Flo Hess and her niece, Catherine, I believe her name was. They were the proprietors until approximately 1975, when a nephew took over, put the patio back on the backside of the deck, had horseshoe pits in the side yard, and was quite a busy business. I wasn't here personally, but the stories I've heard from the residents around here, they did quite well. However, there was a lot of things that annoyed the neighbors, too much noise, too much parking situations, and they eventually went out of business somewhere around 1986 or 87.
This bookcase, as I understand it, is part of a twin pair that was in the Wolf Mansion up on Beachmont many, many years ago. And when Flora Hess bought this property, I believe she had this moved down here.
Well, the story I heard was that an American Legion Hall moved in prior to her.
Yes.
One of their members had owned the piece. They blew out the window over here in an adjacent wall. Got it in. Apparently, it came in 3 pieces. Once they got it in, they bricked it back up, and then when they decided to leave, apparently it was too much of a hassle. They just left it here.
Nice piece to have. And you say there was a bar in front of this at one time?
There was a bar when I got here to do the renovation in '97. It was all dry rotted, so I took it out, and I wanted to create a dining room environment on this side and a bar environment on that. Raised the floor, put a brand new bar on the other side of the restaurant to accommodate the liquor business.
I seem to remember coming here for the 5th anniversary and possibly even the 10th, but somewhere in that period you had a fire as well.
Yeah, the summer of 2008, we had a fire in a loft where I had a glycol unit, which keeps your beer cold from the walk-in to the beer taps. It either failed or the plug that it went into failed, and essentially burned the roof off the backside of the kitchen. But the fire scenario created water and smoke damage. We were closed for approximately 15 weeks, and all we did at that time, because the economy was in not good shape, was eat, drink, and worry. But we reopened in November of 2008, and actually business was better than ever for the next 9 or 10 months. We had been here 11 years already. We had a foothold in the market, and I guess people missed us. But all's well that ends well. We now have a building that was built in 1874, but all the plumbing, the electrical, and the HVAC is all brand new. So, like I said, all's well that ends well. And we were very, very fortunate to bring back, after this 15 weeks, 100% of our employees. Some worked somewhere else, some went on unemployment. But it was good news because we hit the ground running when we reopened the doors, and sales were up 30% over any other time we'd been open.
And I couldn't help but notice all the corks on the wall. They're above the fascia there. You have about half a dozen panels of corks. How many corks do you have up there?
I believe about 8,000. We were saving corks for years that we opened during our time of business in boxes, and finally decided to put the panels together. My wife Mary and I cut out some plywood, and would sit on the other side of the bar on Sundays and watch football with glue and the cork, and just glue them as we were watching the game. So it's homemade, and done a nice job with the decor.